where I'm from. You finish university, you go get a job, you find a partner, you get a house, you get a dog, you get married, you have a baby. We're trying to disrupt something that hasn't been disrupted in a while as well. So yeah, there's these big, huge giants. No one's really trying to go after them, and we're putting ourselves in that space. My first investor call, thank God for some reason my camera wasn't working, because he's actually that horrible to me that he made me cry. He didn't know that, but he was just awful to me.
Welcome, Nicola. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be on your podcast.
Let's start with a little bit about you. Do you want to tell us about your background?
Yeah, sure. I'm Nicola. I'm one of the founders of Cliq. Cliq is a social networking and community app, and it's all about meeting like-minded people through communities and through in real life experiences such as events. I had the idea of Cliq moving to London and wanting to meet people and realizing how difficult it actually is to meet people. I'm a second-time founder, so I had a previous business before, and that business was a marketplace for freelance beauty professionals. My first business got acquired in 2022, if I'm getting the dates right, by Revolution Beauty, which is amazing. So I had that for 3 years, and then took a little bit of time out, and that's where the idea of Cliq came from. And we launched Cliq last October, so it's been about 8 months now. And yes, here I am today.
Before you started either of these businesses, did you ever consider yourself as a tech entrepreneur or see yourself becoming a tech entrepreneur?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think when I was growing up, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. When everyone was going to university, I just knew I didn't want to go at all. It just wasn't for me. But I ended up getting in and got really excited and thought, why not try it? And then I was there for about 3 months and I ended up quitting. And then was just figuring out what on earth I wanted to do. And that's when makeup artistry came to me, because I've always wanted to do my own thing. I've always wanted to be my own boss in a way. And makeup artistry felt like that career path because I could be freelance, so you get the best of both worlds. After my makeup artistry course, I actually went traveling, and I just wanted to get out from where we lived, see the world, experience new things. And 3 months of traveling ended up being 3 years, and I moved to Australia for 2 of those years. My partner, Jason, he's always been very entrepreneurial as well, but we both went away because we didn't know what we wanted to do and wanted to figure it out. And it sounds really cliche, you go traveling to find yourself, but I feel like you really do, because you're away from everyone that you know, everything that you knew, everything that you're part of, and you put yourself in a different country where you know nothing. You really do learn a lot about yourself and learn about what you want. And that's where I was pursuing my makeup artistry career and my freelance work. And I really struggled when we had the idea for, it was called A&B Beauty at the time. It was one of those things where it was right place, right time. We saw a gap in the market. This was way before COVID. I think maybe a year before COVID. And it was one of those ideas where we're like, okay, we've been talking about it for a while. We both want to start something. Why don't we just go for it? And that's exactly how it happened. We were pretty young, maybe around 23. Jason was 24, but knew that we were coming back to the UK as well. So knew that we had nothing to lose. We weren't coming back to a job or any responsibilities. So it was the perfect time for us to start something. And we learned it all ourselves. The first website that we got built, Jason was like learning how to code on YouTube. We got like a basic website developed for us that just did the job. I created a very basic brand and we just went for it, and we just reiterated on. It was that 1% every single day of trying to get better every day and learning something new. And when we came back home, it was a shock to everyone because we didn't know anyone that had a business or taken that risk. Where I'm from, it was very much the same thing of you finish university or whatever it is, you go get a job, you find a partner, you get a house, you get a dog, you get married, you have a baby. And that's the way that it worked. No one had really stepped out of that norm. So it was really interesting going back and having created something with no experience, and people are like, what the hell are you doing? But I think it's so important to know that you can learn anything now. And if you want to do something, really put your mind to it, you can. And neither myself and Jason are technical founders, but you don't need to be technical founders. You can bring the right people in that have those skills for you that will drive the business forward. And at the end of the day, with both of our businesses, we are the creatives. We're the mind behind it. We're the one that's know what the product wants to look like. We know how the product functions. Yeah, we can't build the tech, but you can find those people to do it. And I think you've really got to look into what your skill sets are and use that to drive forward the business.
So now onto Cliq. I had a look at Cliq and it's building quite a following. It's almost a cult following, I would say.
Yeah.
What was your approach to building a brand and marketing behind Cliq been?
Yeah, so the idea of Cliq came from that personal problem of moving to London and wanting to meet people and realizing just how difficult that is. Like I said, I had the previous business before, and that's why I moved down to London, because we had the acquisition. And I'd lived here for a year, and I'd been so busy with that business that I'd not really made any effort to meet anyone new. And then I had all this free time, and I wanted to meet new people. And the people that maybe I had met before were in the beauty industry, or they weren't connections that I would probably take throughout my journey. It was more just business connections. So I wanted to meet people in social settings. And I was looking at the current apps out there, and the ones that are for meeting people are dating app tag apps like Bumble BFF. You're swiping through people, and it's just not authentic, and it's so transactional. My idea was like, why is there not a platform where I can find people but interest based in group settings? So run clubs, walk clubs, book clubs, fitness class clubs, whatever that is, being able to meet people in a group setting. So with communities, one, you're in a group setting, so it's people feel more comfortable, the more likely to open up. It's interest based. So even if you don't know what to talk to someone about, you could talk about the run or the book you've just read or the Pilates class you've just done. And then as well, you kind of walk away from that with 5 new potential connections, as opposed to going on a one-on-one friend date and connecting with someone. So I really wanted to create something that was really community focused, and community's always been a thing. Community's always been around. I just think people are speaking about it more and more now. Like at the moment, it is the hottest topic. So we've really hit a key trend. But when I had the idea, community was bubbling in the background. People were talking about it, but I don't think people really understood the power of it. So I just knew there was a gap in the market. I knew that no one had really done this since Facebook and Meetup back in the day, which are both 25 years old. No one's really reinvented that wheel and brought back new technology. So yeah, when we had the idea, it was like, we can't pass up on this. And when thinking about our brand and our marketing strategy, we wanted it to be an app which wasn't focused on loneliness. Yes, we're tackling the loneliness epidemic, and yes, we're getting people out and we're really helping people, but we didn't want it to have any kind of like negative connotations. There's so many apps out there that people don't want to download because they're like, oh, I'm not lonely, I don't need to download this app. Whereas with Cliq, it's like you come on there and you're part of communities, and that ultimately that community is helping the loneliness epidemic that is happening. So we wanted to be a super inclusive platform which anyone could join. And our marketing strategy was, how do we get a user base by spending a minimal amount? And that was going after communities that already exist on other platforms, such as like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all these social media platforms that we have now that just keeping us scrolling, keeping us addicted. People are still building communities on there, but they don't have the features. So Cliq started as, okay, let's solve my own problem of discovery. But now it's evolved to, we have the discovery app, but we also have all the features that someone needs to manage their community in one place. And that includes things like group chats, posts, FAQs, events. You can put paid tickets on there, free tickets. People can see who's coming to the events, all of these features that create a really amazing community. So we went after communities that already exist and understood what their pain points are. And typically that is that they're managing all these different platforms. They have their WhatsApp, Discord, Telegram, whatever that is, for their chats. They then have their Instagram, which they're promoting, and they're pushing a lot of their things on their stories to get people to follow them, join their events, all of that kind of stuff. They then might have a Facebook group, but Facebook groups are very dated now and super spammy, so they're not getting anything from that. And then if they want to sell tickets, they have a ticket platform. So they have like Eventbrite or something. So everything's very disjointed. And as a user to a community, you don't know where things are happening because everything's all over the place. So for us, it's about that one centralized app where they can manage everything in one place. So we'd approach the communities, find out what their pain points are, tell them about Cliq, get them on Cliq. They love it. They bring their users with them. So that's been our marketing strategy. And that means the one-to-many approach, going to the community leader and getting them to bring their community over, as opposed to going to each 1,000 of these users and telling them why they should use Cliq. It's been a really good strategy for us. And it's meant that we haven't spent a penny on marketing so far to get the user base and the community base that we have. And now what's happening, things are growing really organically, which is amazing. And I think it's because we've got these key hero communities that everyone knows about, whether it's These Girls Run or Girls That Walk or London Girls Book Club, whatever it is, all these amazing communities. Now you see that, okay, I want to start a community. Where do I go? Oh, I see that London Girls Book Club is using Cliq. I'm going to use Cliq for my community. So we're getting people creating communities organically now on Cliq and actually promoting on their social media straight away. And it's all a behavior change with Cliq. It's like, how do we change one, the way generation uses social media, but two, how do we also be that household name for it? I want to build a community. I want to join a community. You go straight to Cliq. So that's like where we're at the moment and what's worked really well for us in terms of marketing. We're introducing some really cool features onto the app really soon. And one of that is personalization and security. And it means that if I create an all-female run club, I can say, I only want this team by females that are age 20 to 35, that live in central London, that are interested in running, and they're verified users. So my community is only going to be put in front of that demographic, which means we can be really widespread with what communities we have on Cliq. And it's all about personalization then, because you're only seeing the things that you want to see, and communities are only putting themselves in front of you if you're their target audience. But then it's also about safety, and it means we can open up the app to so many different demographics and make them feel safe. And it's if you're part of the book club in your local area and the run club, you don't care about what's happening in Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, all of these other places, because you're part of your community and that's your social media. Whereas with the opposite on Instagram, you want to know what everyone everywhere all around the world is doing at all times. And you feel like you know them because you see their stories and you feel like you connect to them, when really you have no idea who these people are. So we really reverse engineer what social media is. And to me and to Cliq, social media has been part of those engaged communities, and that community is your social media. But like I said, that's a behavior change that we're working on.
What conversations around the ethics of building your app have you had?
Yeah, so it is looking at what other platforms do well and looking at what other platforms do wrong. And a lot of the things I just spoke about before is what platforms are doing wrong, and it's keeping people scrolling, keeping people addicted. But also, platforms could stop hate speech tomorrow, really, with all the technology that they have. They don't, because it fuels the fire. So with Cliq, what we really want to create is, an inclusive, positive, inspiring platform that's all about that in real life connection. So really heavily looking at the safety side of things of our app and making sure that people do feel safe, introduce things like verifications. You have to put your passport in, you have to put your driving license in, because ultimately these people are meeting up in real life. So you want them to be who they say they are and having that kind of level of security. I think that not many dating apps have passport and driving license implemented in them, which is actually really crazy, because the amount of stories that you hear, horror stories from dating apps of awful things that have happened, or just people not saying who they are, they could easily implement an identification service, but they choose not to. I'm not really sure why, but I suppose all of these things feed the fire and feed the beast for these tech companies, whereas we just really want to be that positive, inspiring platform where you feel super safe. And it's all community driven, it's all localized, it's all about who's around you and who's interested in the same things as you, not just sat there scrolling. So we don't have like news feeds or anything like that. Each individual community will have its own news feed, but that'll be related to what I was speaking about before, is if you're in the local running club and you're looking at their news feed, you're not consuming the type of social media that we're used to. It's all about what events are going on, what's everyone doing, what's in the local areas, and I want to meet up tonight. All these things that are really encouraging people to get out from behind the phone and put it down. But the way that we keep people coming back is the communities putting their events through Cliq. So weekly events, monthly events, whatever that is, the communities are driving that retention for us, because it's like, oh, our run's coming up next Thursday. You need to come back to Cliq to RSVP to the event, to then access the group chats, chat to people. Then you turn up to the event. And it's like, how do we do that wheel and that circle of keeping people coming back, but not in the way that other social networking platforms are doing?
Mm-hmm. Going back to the launch of Cliq, now I know that you had a really big waiting list. Can you tell us more about that and how you managed to get people onto your waiting list?
Yeah, so with the waiting list, we had a waiting list because when we launched the app, we didn't have as many features as we do now. They always tell you, launch before you're ready, test and learn. And I do believe that is true, because until you really launch something, you don't know who's going to use it. You don't know how people are going to use it. And you don't know the ways they are going to use it. You need to get real use on the app. So when we launched, it was very early days for us in terms of development. And we wanted to just, see who used it, see what niches there were, see what communities were signing up, see which ones were popular, see what users want, and just use that feedback to really drive the next version of Cliq, which we have out now. And what we did is we were going after communities, like I said, that already exist on big platforms like Facebook groups and all that kind of thing, and building up a bit of a wait list, figuring out what features they wanted. And a lot of that was the features that we didn't have. So putting them onto a wait list and getting them to come on when we were ready. But we really managed to build up that wait list with some amazing communities that were running things on different platforms and not getting the features. A lot of people have these huge Facebook groups, and it's so broad as well. So it'll be like 20s to 30s in London. That's not a community. It's like, how do we teach these people to make it into a community? And it's about segregating that down, whether that's age, gender, interest, whatever that is, and really segregating it, because not everyone in that community is going to want to come to a book club. You need to create a 20s and 30s book club in Southwest London for it to work. And that's how we see communities working. So it's speaking to all these huge communities that are out there and getting them to understand the benefit of coming onto Cliq. Because with Facebook as well, you don't own any of that data. You have 100,000 people in a group. You can't do anything with that. You're not making any money from it. You can't sell any tickets through Facebook. You can't do anything within the Facebook capabilities to monetize that or take that data out. So with Cliq, it's like the data is yours. You can have all of the data for yourself, but also you can monetize your community. So it's making them see the benefit of why they should transfer over to Cliq. So the waitlist was mainly of different types of communities up and down the UK that are looking for features that we have, and now we can slowly onboard that waitlist. We didn't want to bring them on board until we were ready, and they're happy to wait, and we were happy to wait till we had the right features, because with tech, you want it to be right before you start onboarding these mass amount of users, because you only really get one chance. So yeah, still kind of building that wait list. A lot of the features that they want, we have now, so slowly onboarding people. But there's still a few communities that are looking for a few additional things, which we are still in the process of building.
I imagined a lot of people, if you just DM'd them, they ignored you. What was your approach in getting their attention and getting that call that you needed?
Yeah, you're always going to get ignored by someone, and that just happens. And especially when you're so early stages, like we're a brand new app going to people that have had Facebook groups or whatever it is for years. And obviously Facebook is billions of users, makes billions of money, and why would they come to Cliq? But if you think about it, a lot of people don't want to use these big platforms anymore. They're like over it. And a lot of people are happy to support startups as well, which kind of does work in your favor sometimes. It's all about that personal relationship. And if you can get on a call with someone and you can have that personal relationship with someone where they know you, you're the founder of the business, they love the mission, they love what you're doing, and they want to be on board with that, then that's worth it's like weight in gold compared to what Facebook can do for you. And we're at such an amazing stage that if a community came to us and said, I really want this feature, I think it's so beneficial, we can go and build it. You can't contact Facebook and be like, can you build this feature for me? Like, it's never going to happen. So having that personal relationship really helps. But yeah, I agree, getting your foot in the door sometimes can be difficult. It is about persistence. It is keep trying. It is give them messaging that they want to hit, like tell them in the first message like what your ambitions are, what your goals are, why you're reaching out to them, because everyone loves a personal story and everyone wants to be on board with someone trying to change an industry and really disrupt something. But a lot of it is a numbers game, and it's funny, like there's probably a lot of communities, people, whatever it is, investors, all these things that ignored me at the very beginning, and now we're like however many months down the line, 7 months down the line, and they're seeing more posts about us, they're seeing our investment round, they're seeing the amount of communities we have, they're seeing the events that we do. Now they want to talk to you. And it's like, okay, I sent you that message like 6 months ago and you completely ignored me. But that's the nature of it. No matter who it is, make them understand why you're different and make them understand what that mission is that you're driving for. And yeah, building that really personal relationship with people, because other platforms out there and like your competitors know who they are, might not be doing that. Like all the big corporations, they're not doing that. They're not building personal relationships with people. Whereas if you can do that, then you're winning.
Yeah, so I've worked at companies at different sizes, and I have to say that in front of the customer, actually, I've worked for small startups and for scale ups. Getting in front of the customer can be very challenging because of there's different barriers, and also people within the company that just don't understand why you need to speak to them. It's great that you are very conscious while you're building your platform in terms of making sure you're talking to your end users. Can you give us a story about something you've learned from your users that's changed your approach or the direction that you're going in?
Yeah, oh God, so many things. I think as a founder, you can be so tunnel vision, be like, okay, this is what I'd use, this is what I would want, these are the features that I would want in an app, when really it's not down to you, it's down to your end user. And we actually built all of version 1 from feedback. So everyone that we had on, let's call it our MVP, it was still very much working and people were using it, but it was like the very early stages of our app. The people that were using it, the communities, we went to them and were like, okay, what do you want to see? What other platforms do you use? What features from them do you like? What do you think we're missing? All of that, and got so much data and then collated it together to build version 1. Because at the end of the day, we could have built version 1 totally different and no one would use it. Really, you need to get inside the heads and the brains of the people that are using your app to figure out what it is they want, because they're your users. And we're looking after 2 different users here. We're looking at that end user, like us downloading the app and wanting to join something, but we're also looking after the community leader, and we would be nothing without that community. So they're the ones that we focus on the most, because what we want is someone to download the app and see all these amazing engaged communities that they can join that have events happening every week. If we didn't have that, we'd completely lose the user. So they come first. So understanding what it is that they want. And sometimes it's features that you wouldn't even think and wouldn't have even built. And now we have amazing features like waitlists. Waitlists are really important for our communities. They sell out events pretty quickly. And they had a waitlist on their notes on their phone. And every time someone would drop out, they text the other person and be like, we've got a ticket available, do you want it? So just building a feature which was so simple for us to integrate, where it was an automatic wait list, where the event sells out and then you have the wait list of people. If anyone gets rid of their ticket, then it sends a notification out automatically. And people are like, wow, this has saved X amount of my time, because everything was so manual. And I think the more you get into it and more you speak to these communities, realize how manual their job was before. They'd have lists everywhere, spreadsheets, they'd have everything all over the place. They'd be constantly on their phone trying to run their community. Whereas we're like, why can't we take that admin pressure off you? And then you can go out and do what you do best. And that's running the community, being at the events, organizing those, and being that in person and being the face of your community, as opposed to sat there creating spreadsheets and trying to figure out where to put everyone and what to do with things. So we've learned a lot, and there's a lot of features that, yeah, we wouldn't have even thought people would use. But I'm not a community leader, so I wouldn't know. I haven't scaled a community from nothing to 1,000 people. I don't know about that process. So bringing in people that have done that process is so valuable. And actually, our employee, Ella, she's our head of marketing and community, but she's built her own amazing community herself. And she is the person that scaled a community from 0 people, from nothing, to now having over, I think she got 4,500 people in her community on Cliq. She's running weekly events. It's called Girlhood. It was previously called Girls Who Walk. And she started it because she was lonely in Manchester and wanted to go on walks with girls, just easy, low barriers to entry, didn't cost anything for anyone. And she built and scaled this amazing community. So when she was looking for a job, I was like, what perfect person to come and build communities for Cliq? Someone that's built their own community from absolutely nothing, from a TikTok on her personal TikTok page to now having like thousands of people in a group coming to their events, and she's monetizing it. So it's just about bringing people in that are your target audience and understand the market, as opposed to just going off what you think as a founder is best.
You mentioned earlier that you were entering a market that already had companies having the needs, Facebook communities, Meetup is really big, Eventbrite, and you're trying to disrupt that industry. Now, a lot of people would have looked at that and just thought, there are already people there. I don't think I'm going to take on Facebook or Meetup. There's no room for anyone else. What was your thinking? Because you thought, I'm going to disrupt this because I'm not feeling the need. Can you tell me a little bit more about your thinking behind the disruption? And also, I think your mindset that, hey, I can do this.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we've had this question before of, oh, why do you think you're going to take over Facebook? And I'm like, we don't think we're going to take over Facebook. That was very naive. We're not here to replace these apps. We're here to provide something totally different for users. And yes, Facebook has some features, Eventbrite does, Instagram does, WhatsApp does. All of these platforms have different features. Why can't we bring it into one and provide something totally different for users? And no one else is really going after communities, and people are going after the end user. That's what I'd say. So Facebook's going after the end user. They're not going after the groups and the communities. That just happens organically. But that's actually where most of the traction happens within Facebook still. Now it's become very spammy. The groups have become so big that there's not a community feel to it. But they've never focused on community, whereas we're taking a different approach and we're focusing on that community. So if you get the community when the user comes, and that's how we've, like I said, managed to scale without spending anything on marketing, is using that approach. Whereas other platforms are going after that kind of end user. And yeah, we're trying to disrupt something that hasn't been disrupted in a while as well. So yeah, there's these big, huge giants, but no one's really done anything since. But everyone's sat here complaining about all these big giants, and we all do it. We're all guilty of it. No one's really trying to go after them, and we're putting ourselves in that space, but we're not saying that we're gonna stop people from ever using Facebook again. Yeah, hopefully we will do, and hopefully people don't. But the reality of it is they're probably still gonna have these accounts on the platforms, they're just not gonna use them, and they're gonna use Cliq for everything, which is where we're angling ourselves. But yeah, people either think we're absolutely crazy or we're really onto something. And yeah, I think it's both.
Yeah. What I love about Cliq when I looked at your branding is that it's really current. I do think that maybe the branding for, those companies that have been around for 25 years haven't really
Exactly.
changed much.
No.
And yeah, maybe you can tell us a little bit about your approach, because I found it very fresh and very current.
Yeah, that's what we wanted. Like I said, the other platforms that have been around for like 25 years, I don't think Meetup's ever changed its branding, which is crazy. I'm sure I listened to a podcast once and it was saying that someone in the company went to the founder of Meetup, and this is maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, and was like, your branding's not changed in 15 years, maybe we should change it. And they're like, no, it works for us, so why would we change it? But I think after 10, 15, 20, 25 years, like so much has changed in the world, and you really need to evolve with the times. And when we created Cliq, it was exactly like you said. We wanted something fresh. We wanted something from a new perspective. We wanted something that was going to appeal to everyone. The name just came really organically. Actually, what happened when we had the idea for Cliq, myself and Jason, we were away after exiting the first business. Hey, let's take a bit of time out. And we went to Bali. I was like, let's just switch our phones off, not speak to anyone, see if what we want to do next. We've had no idea. And the idea of Cliq was keeping us up at night, and we didn't really know what it was going to be. And when we had the idea, we were like, okay, I'll go away and I'll figure out a bit of a brand. So I'll come up with the name, the colors, the logo, all these different things. Jason, you go away and figure out like how the app would work, and let's come together and see what we have. And when I had the idea for the name of Cliq, it was just something in me. I was like, this is perfect. This is such a good word because it can be used in so many ways. It just clicked. You know what I mean? Is like you can use that to so many different ways in marketing, but also it felt quite current and was also a bit of a play on words of like clique. So having a clique is a group of people, which sometimes has a negative connotation. So it's like, how do we turn that into a positive and create a clique? And quite early on, we did a little bit of testing with some university students to see how it was a basic prototype or how they would use the app. And someone was like describing it as, this is my clique. And we didn't even tell them to say that. And how we can do this is that behavior change that I spoke about is having the connotations of what a Cliq is and what a Cliq means to you, and how can you have different Cliqs. This is my book club Cliq, this is my run club Cliq, all these different things. And it just felt like it really flowed. And yeah, with the app, we wanted it to be super easy to use, super functional, didn't want it to be complicated, having a really simple design that no matter what community signs up, it looks amazing, because we're dealing with user generated content here. So people create their own communities, create their own logos, all of that. So we need an app and we need a brand that kind of suited everybody. And no matter what logo you put on the app or logo you put on the Instagram, it really fits. And just being able to create something that was I'd say quite simple. There's nothing really complex about the brand, but that's what makes it what it is. And that's what makes it so attractive, because people can see that on the phone and they can see them using it and they want to use it because they think it's cool, as opposed to some of these other apps that have really like just cringy names or really like negative connotations. No one wants to have that on their phone. So really just creating an app that was really current and what people wanted, but we don't want it to be too skewed to the younger generation. We want everyone to feel like they can be part of that. And that's what I feel like we've built with Cliq.
I'd love to move on to talking a little bit about personal growth and mindset, etc. How have you changed since your entrepreneurial journey started? Because I do think people evolve during that time, and perhaps that's what's enabled you to reach where you've reached now.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I first started the business, I wouldn't say I was the most confident person. I think that was one of the reasons that I wanted to go away and go traveling so much, because I was quite secluded. Like, I didn't really have much confidence. To be honest, I didn't really think that I was going to do much with my life or anything. So I wanted to get away to really build that confidence. And I think that's one of the key things that really changed me, was being away from everyone and everything for 3 whole years, which is quite a long period of time. And then when I started the business, I wouldn't say I was still the most confident, but it really puts you out of your comfort zone, because you have to sell yourself to sell the business. And ultimately, running a business is people skills, like getting investment, getting clients, getting all these things. People have to like you to resonate. So it's all about building those personal relationships, like I said, which I really struggled with at the beginning, because I didn't really know how to pitch myself, or I didn't really know how to pitch a business. And I think going through the process of setting up a business from scratch and all the things that you have to go through to get things in place, whether that's building a brand, figuring out your product roadmap, getting a team, getting investors, all of these things requires so much confidence and so much risk taking, because it'd be so easy to quit and turn around and do something else, get a job, whatever that is. It would be so much more easier sometimes than going forward, but you've really got to believe in yourself. And I think just instilling that in me, that if I really believe in this idea, why would I not make a go of it? And why would other people not believe in it if I believe in it so much? And I think building my personal brand has been something that's really helped me across the years, especially now with Cliq. Like, everyone, and I do it now, like when I see a cool brand somewhere, I want to know who the founder is, I want to know who the team is, I want to know who's behind it, because that builds that personable and relatable story. So really now trying to do more things that build my personal brand, so people know why I'm building Cliq, why I'm doing this, why I've chosen to dedicate 24 hours of every day to do this. People think that being a founder is, yeah, you own your own time, you have your own freedom, but most of the time you are working every single hour of every single day to have that freedom. So I think people want to know who's behind it, and they want to know why people are building it, which is why I'm trying to do more, personal brand stuff, put myself out there more now. I think my confidence has grown massively. I think the investment journey has helped me grow my confidence, because that's typically the only part of business where you'll hear thousands of no's. You're hearing like sometimes 10, 15 no's a week. Like, you don't really hear that in most other parts of the business. So putting yourself in front of people where you're going to be completely scrutinized, they're probably going to pick apart your business. They might understand it, they might love it, or they might absolutely hate it. And investment is such an opinion based industry that if that one person doesn't like you, then it's not going to go anywhere. And I think just learning to have a really thick skin throughout that process has helped me. And I mean, with the first business, I didn't have that thick skin at all. I remember one of my first ever, I think it was my first ever investor call. We had the business for 2 years and we're like, okay, we really want to get some investment to build more of like the SaaS model in the background and build an app. So I was doing these investor pitches, didn't know anyone that, like I said, had a business or had any money, had no one to turn to. So building up these relationships ourselves, using LinkedIn a lot, was living in Nottingham, so wasn't even in London. So didn't have the same opportunities they have here. My first investor call, thank God, for some reason, my camera wasn't working because he was actually that horrible to me that he made me cry. He didn't know that, but he was just awful to me. And that was like one of those moments of realization where I was like, wow, this is going to be way harder than I thought it was going to be. Also, I need to be way thicker skinned. But I'm so glad that was my first ever investor call, because it shocked me that much that someone could hate my business so much when no one never told me that before. Then I was like, wow, there's going to be people out there that don't like this. And I'm putting myself in a position where everyone that I'm speaking to knows everything about the business, and they're grilling into all these different parts of you and your business, and they're potentially not going to like it. So I think like just built my confidence up massively through all these things that I put myself in, has helped me change my mindset and helped me to push myself forward. Yeah, there's always going to be days where you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. I don't know if I can do it today. No matter what industry or job or anything, like everyone has those days. It's just about getting past those days and seeing the bigger picture and realizing that it's going to be tough, but at the end of it, it's so rewarding. Even like at the end of the day, when you've had a really good meeting or something really amazing's happened to you, how amazing you feel after that. Whereas sometimes life just throws curveballs at you, doesn't it? And you can't control that, but it's just all about your mindset and how you move forward with that. But I think you can't grow that mindset any other way than doing it. So you've got to do the doing to grow that mindset and work on it. Because if you never do it, then you're never going to know.
Definitely. I'm glad that you're saying this, because I have heard many women in my life say, oh, I'm not doing XYZ because I'm not confident enough.
Yeah.
And well, the example you gave, you're saying that you built your confidence by actually doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's the best way to do it, because you're putting yourself in situations that you wouldn't normally put yourself in. And I think, yeah, you might make mistakes, things might go wrong, but I don't see them as a bad thing. It's more of just an obstacle, and you've got to look back on those mistakes. Maybe if you said something wrong or did something wrong, okay, what can I learn from that? From next time, I just become that better 1% every single day, as opposed to, we're so guilty of it with the whole social media thing, looking at someone, looking at an amazing businesswoman and be like, oh, I wish I could be like that. I wish I could do what she's doing. And really, she has the same struggles day to day that we all do. So I think remembering that you're not the only one kind of like on this journey is helpful too. But yeah, you can't build up that confidence until you start doing it for yourself.
Yeah. What are you proud of yourself for achieving on this journey so far?
Oh, I think it is that just starting something. I think that's the hardest bit, because we all have so many ideas every day of things we could do, or like new businesses or products or whatever it is. But half the time we don't take any action on it. And then further down the line, they see that, oh, someone's already done that. I can't do it now. So I think having that idea and actually taking action on it is the hardest thing. And I remember when we had the first business, one of the main reasons we did it, because we were like, we haven't got anything to lose. Why not try it? We're also away from everyone that we know. So no one's really going to know what we're doing until we come back, and we don't have them like opinions in our ear or anything. So it was just myself and Jason. Let's just go for it. Let's keep our little thing and see what happens. And it was the best thing that we could have ever done. And then with Cliq, when we had the idea, okay, we've done it before, we can do it again. And also, what have we got to lose again? We might as well try it. And I always think, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out and you try something new, or someone says no to you, but there's going to be another person that will say yes, and just having that kind of mindset. But I think I'm the most proud of actually starting both of them, because that takes so much guts and so much risk to do, to be like, no, I'm actually going to put my all into this. I'm not going to try anything else. I'm going to see if it works. But also having that mindset of, if it doesn't, it's not the end of the world. And just, you never know where you're going to be until you try. So I'd say that's what I'm the most proud of. I'm very proud of my whole journey, especially coming from, like I said, someone with not really any business experience or tech experience, and coming from somewhere where I didn't really know people that started businesses. I feel like I'm very proud of even putting myself out my comfort zone to do these things and like pushing myself to be better and try new things. It's been such a journey, and there's obviously so many lows alongside of that, which it just makes part of the story.
Fantastic. Yeah, it is incredible what people can achieve, isn't it? I think everybody should look back at where they were and what they've achieved, because then they'll realize that actually going forward, they have the potential to continue achieving and achieving so much more if you just take those steps forward.
Yeah. And I think I was one of those people that never really, not didn't celebrate, but didn't really look back on what I have achieved. And you always, what's that saying where it's like, you would have dreamed to be in the position you are now, like where we are now, that was once one of our dreams. So it proves that you can achieve it. You just forget about that, and you forget about those times when you were wishing to be in the position you are now. I think you've got to look back and realize all your achievements. You always got to celebrate the little wins as well. So when things happen, learn to celebrate them and not just let them pass you by, because otherwise you feel like you're never achieving anything. But if you actually look back, you do realize, like on New Year's Eve or whatever, like around that time, and you reflect on everything, you're like, oh my God, I did this, I did that, I did this. When you're actually in it day to day, you forget about all the amazing things. Like I forget about all the things that I've done this year so far. But I'll probably sit down around like the end of the year and be like, oh my God, that was amazing. We did this, this. I'm really trying to learn more now to program myself to, even just at the end of every month, like think about the things that I've done and look back and be like, okay, we did this, we did that, and celebrate. And no matter how big or small it is, just make sure you're having that recognition, even if it's yourself internally, to be like, okay, no, that was really good. We did a really good job with that. And not constantly be like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? Because it's just a vicious cycle. And I think the only way you really realize what you've achieved is by looking back and remembering.
Yeah, it's very healing, isn't it, as well, I think. It snaps you out of that feeling of anxiety when you're like, I need to work on X, Y, Z a little bit more. I mean, I think it's really good to look at where you can do better, but it's
Yes.
also good when you do a bit of reflection. It just seems to be quite healing and you feel at peace with yourself.
Yes, definitely. And I think it's learning what works for you as well, and putting in those kind of parts of your day where it's not always work and not always so busy with back-to-back meetings and getting this done and getting that done. And then you literally you end up sometimes just waking up, working, eating, and then going to sleep. That's literally all you do. Whereas I think you've got to realize that there's more to life than that, and you can still accomplish your goals by doing things that focus on yourself as opposed to that kind of like hustle culture. But I think that's also another thing that's been ingrained into us. I think until recently, no one's really talked about, and it's probably actually since COVID, of being able to like work from home and have more flexible working. Until now, it's been like hustle, work as hard as you can, be in the office 5 days a week, do this, do that. Whereas now it seems to be a bit more flexible, and people are talking more about how you should look after your well-being, your self-care, and your mental health, and all these things. Because if you don't have those, then your work's not going to perform anyway. So I think also taking those times for yourself helps you to realize and take a step back from the day to day of, okay, actually, this is a really great day. Whereas if you just work and then go to sleep, you don't have that time to reflect.
Yeah. You do work alongside your partner, who is a guy. Do you think there is a difference in the way that you both approach work and how sustainable you can make it? Because sometimes I think in the business world, it is very male dominated when you look at the podcasts, who's writing articles. They don't have to take on the same responsibilities often as women. We have different systems, hormonal systems,
Yeah.
etc. What differences have you noticed
Yes.
between?
There's so many actually. And I think we always say that at the top of like big businesses or any businesses, there should be more male female mix, because one, like you said, we work in very different ways, which also can quite complement each other. Two from totally different perspectives. The perspective that I have on things as a woman is totally different to the perspective he has on things as a guy. And then also your approach to business, because for me, me approaching, because we're in the community space, me approaching maybe like a men's mental health community to come and join Cliq. I can't relate to that. Jason approaching a female, I don't know, run club, he can't relate to that. So being able to have totally different targeted approaches of how we run the business and who we speak to and whose relationships are kind of who is all based on, I'd say, like the gender like roles that we have. But I think, yeah, we're very different as people as well. I think I'm maybe a bit more calm. I don't know, maybe a bit more relaxed. I tend to not stress. I do get stressed, but I tend to not stress too much. If I do, I don't portray it. Whereas Jason is a little bit more, I'd say, on the passionate, fiery side. But I think we bring the best of each other out. So he brings that kind of passion and excitement of, no, let's go, let's do this out of me. Whereas I bring that kind of calmness back into him. So when he's like, I'm like, no, just take a minute, just breathe. Do you know what I mean? And have that balance that way. And I suppose that's probably typically what's stereotypically seen of men and women anyway in the business space. Women are seen to be more soft with their approach. And I saw a thing that said that actually, if all of the biggest businesses in the world were run by women and all our prime minister was a woman and all the main people were women, the world would be a lot of a nicer, softer, more loving place, which I do believe. But like you said, the world is just dominated by males. I think that's all that we've ever known. But now more women are becoming higher up. I think we are seeing the difference of how things can be run and how things can be done and how can it be used to a benefit. I think men are typically more drawn by like money and power and all these things. Yeah, there's still some women that are, but I think as women, we're more drawn to their mission and the helping people and the way that we do things. We want it to really make a difference and really make an impact. And yeah, we still want to make money. We still want to do these things. But I think with us, it's more, we have that mission at the heart of it. And I know it's not the same for everyone. It's not the same for both male and females. But I think that's what it's stereotypically seen like. Whereas now I think more women are getting to the top and like change that disparity. But I do, yeah, notice a lot of differences. But I think it does complement each other, which is why I think most businesses should have males and females in the C-suite roles.
Yes, and I think earlier I noticed that you were talking about how safety for your community was on your agenda, and I do think that comes from you being on board on that project too, because it's the female perspective. I have worked in a tech team before where we were looking at safety for a platform, and I have to be honest, the engineers were like, it's a lot of work, we can't do it, it's going to take a whole year to redevelop this. And it is because they didn't have empathy for the end users.
Yes, that's the thing. And I think with us, we can relate to we can't relate to all of our users, obviously, we can relate to majority of this because either it's a gender thing or it's something that one of us may have been through. And I'm really about creating safe spaces for women. I'm really passionate about that. So being able to put my expertise and my opinions forward in, like you said, these tech calls, meetings, whatever it is, of like, we should implement this feature, why does it matter? And that's why I was really like set on that personalization and safety feature of you're in control, because if I want to create a community and that's all female, it's my choice. If I want it to be for anyone, I can choose that. Or if I'm a single woman and I want to put myself on the platform as anyone can see me and it shows I'm single, I can do that. If I want to hide myself because I'm in a relationship or whatever it is, being able to put that control into the user, which you can't do on most platforms. On most platforms, you control what you see. You don't control who sees you. I think it's really important to put the power back to not one, create that safety, but two, create that really curated experience for people then.
Great. We're coming up to the end of this podcast, so I'm going to dive into a few final questions. I've got 3 in mind. So first of all, what kind of Nicola do you see in 5 years' time?
Yeah, I think one is building on that kind of like confidence and independence. I feel like I'm in a really good place in my life where I am confident and independent, but there's still certain aspects that I really want to work on. And I really want to create more of, like I said, a personal brand for myself and a personal story for myself, and just be someone that women can look up to and inspire, I'd really love to invest myself into female founded businesses at some point. I think that's really important. It's something I've been so passionate about in my own journey and have struggled with. I'm proud to say we do have a lot of female investors on that cap table now, but it's been a lot of hard work trying to find those females. So I just really want to give more females the opportunity to have more female investors. So I'd absolutely love to do that and just, really inspire people and show that you can come from not having any experience or whatever it is and building something amazing that changes millions, if not billions of people's lives. And I do believe that with Cliq, we're really onto something here that can challenge these bigger platforms out there and really become something that is going to change the way that people actually use their phone and use social media. But yeah, telling more of my story along the way.
Great. Fantastic. For the women that are listening today, what one key tip would you give them?
Oh, one key tip I would give. It's always hard to pick one, isn't it? Because I feel like
I was going to give you 3, but then I thought, no, let's keep it focused. Let's keep it to one.
So many things floating around in my head. I'd say just start. If you have something that you want to do, just do it, just start it. And that's like I was saying before, that's the hardest thing that you will do, is making that jump from having the idea to actually having something in place for that idea. And you never know what it's going to become. And if you're passionate about it, then it will work. And if it doesn't work, then at least you've done something that you're passionate about. And I think you can turn something so small into something so big if you really put your mind to it. And I think the hardest part is actually being like, okay, no, I'm going to take this risk. I'm going to do it, whether it's starting your own business, starting a podcast, starting content creation, changing jobs, moving cities, moving countries, whatever it is. We all have these thoughts and these things that we want to do, but half the time we don't act upon it. So I think like just going for it and trying it and thinking, what's the worst that can happen? It doesn't work out, I just go back to what I was doing before. It doesn't really matter. And as long as you've got something to fall back on, then why not just try it?
What does a typical day look like for you?
Yeah, I feel like at the moment, every day is so different. But typically, I like to have a really good morning routine. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes something throws you off and you don't end up doing it. But waking up at the same time every day, which isn't super early, it's 7 a.m. Although we've just got a kitten. So he like sometimes scratches the door at like 6 a.m. to be let in. So that's sometimes going out the window. But yeah, getting up at the same time and leaving my phone on Do Not Disturb. I don't look at my notifications or anything. So I feel like that completely throws you off for the day when you start seeing emails and social media notifications, all these things coming through. Just really trying to put that to one side and then doing things that make me feel good. So I have a journal that's got like prompts in. So I'll write in that first thing, have like a cup of tea. If I've got time, sometimes I'll do a bit of reading. I like to do a bit of yoga in the morning. I always feel like just 10 minutes. It's so simple. You can get a YouTube up and do 10 minutes of yoga and you feel amazing afterwards. And then like getting on with your day. I do work from home most of the time. So just like sitting down, doing your to-do list, organizing the day. I'm really trying to plan how my day runs and be more productive and time blocking at the moment. And then, yeah, just always incorporate some form of exercise if I can into the day, whether it's even if you just get out for a 20-minute, half an hour walk or go to a gym class or go to the gym. I think it's really important to be moving your body and having a break away from the laptop. I always think I'm so lucky to be able to go outside and go for a walk and be healthy and all these things. So why would I not take advantage of that every day? But as a founder, you can do that whenever, which is really good. So if I wanted to go to the gym at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, I could do that, or go really late at night. Typically, there's not really an end time to my working day. It depends what I need to get done. I do like to have a couple of days of the week where I'm out for like meetings, or I go to like coffee shop and do my work just to mix up the week a little bit. But typically it's just scrambling to get everything done within the day. And then I try to not work too late and again, put my phone on Do Not Disturb for an hour and a half before I go to bed. 'Cause I think it's really important to have that time away from work. And if I go to the gym, I typically don't look at my phone. If I go on a walk, if I go with Jason, I'll just leave my phone here. Obviously, I go for a walk on my own. I'll take my phone with me, but just really trying to have those moments, even just half an hour that you switch off. Like nothing terrible is going to happen in that half an hour. The business isn't going to shut down within half an hour. So just learning to mindfully take those times where you're away from it. I think it's really important just to break up the day, but trying to incorporate as many wellness like practices that I can throughout. But yeah, no day's the same. I do typically spend a lot of it on calls, on a laptop, on my phone. So just making sure that I take the time away is really important for me.
Lovely. Sounds very balanced.
I try. I mean, some days is like that.
Yeah.
Some days is just the balance doesn't happen, but that's okay. I think not every day can be perfect, but I do notice those days where I don't have that time in the morning that my brain's just not really there for the rest of the day. If I do wake up and I look at my phone first thing, it's like I just know the rest of the day there's going to be something niggling in me. Whereas if I feel like it's really important to take that time for yourself in the morning, it's the only time that you're ever going to have throughout the day where you can just completely not even know what's going to happen for the rest of the day and just put it to the back of your mind and try and do your own thing and put yourself in that kind of positive mindset and get yourself feeling good before you then do turning your laptop, turning your phone, have all these notifications flooding in. You just feel so much more prepared for it than waking up and doing that first thing.
Yeah. I love that. What I hear so much of is people sharing stories that they're up till 3 a.m., 2 a.m. and they do it for 2 years or whatever, or the first 6 months. I think that's very off-putting for people aspiring to be founders.
Yeah.
Perhaps it just sounds really hard and terrifying. And you sharing that you're waking up at 7 a.m., and you have time to wind down at the end of the day. That seems more realistic and balanced and more appealing to people as a lifestyle choice.
Exactly. And yeah, there are some days when you end up working till midnight because you need to get something done, but it's only those kind of one-off times where okay, this is just one-off. I just need to get this done and then this won't happen again. I think if you were doing that every single day, like you're going to get burnt out and you're not going to be your best self. Like sleep is one of the most simple but effective things that you can do to make sure your body is functioning correctly. But a lot of us have really unhealthy sleep cycles, which I think with the first business, I was very much like that. I'd get up straight away, be straight on my laptop, and then I'd be on my laptop till midnight, and then I go to sleep. But you're not actually properly resting because your brain's so active. And I always think that if I don't get this one thing done on my to-do list, there's going to be a chance to do it tomorrow. I don't need to burn myself out to get it done. And it's all about prioritizing things that are important on that to-do list, making sure that they're done, and then having another to-do list of backup to-dos. So things you can do when you do have the time that aren't as important, and just slotting them in as opposed to having this one list and being like, I need to get everything done before the end of the day. Sometimes isn't realistic. Sometimes it is. So I think as well, just like being kind to yourself and knowing that if you don't do that one task, like the business isn't going to fail and you're not a terrible founder. It can be picked up tomorrow or another day. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, I think it's just all about your mindset. But then that probably comes with time and learning what works for you as well.
Thank you so much for today. You've shared a lot. I'm looking forward to putting this out. Before we end our session today, it would be great if you could just share with everybody where people can find you, where they can find Cliq if they're interested in finding out more.
Yeah, of course. Socials for Cliq is Find Your Cliq. So we'll Find Your Cliq on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. My personal socials is Nicola Gunby on Instagram, and then Nicola Gunby on LinkedIn. Really trying to share more about my founder story and personal stories on platforms. Yeah, so take a look.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure having you.
Yes, you too. Thank you so much.